Alright, so now we get on to executing the centers using the U2 method. So, like I said in the previous part, you have a buffer piece and a helper piece. And just like in M2, what you want to do is you want to insert the position that you want to solve in the helper piece. So, let's say, for example, let's say I want to solve this red piece. So what you want to do is you want to somehow, so if you want this to go here, then you want this piece to go into the helper, so then you do the U2 interchange and then you put it back. Just like how if you want this piece excuse me, if you want this piece to go here, then you want to put this in the helper, but you also want to do it without disrupting the rest of the interchange. So you would move this over here, bring the piece up. The only piece that was disrupted in the interchange is the helper. That's what you want. And then you do your interchange and then you undo those moves. So you should be familiar with that. It's pretty much the same thing for this. So here's your helper, and you want to get this piece to your helper, which is right here, without disrupting the rest of this U layer, because this is your interchange. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to move it down like this, and then move this piece over, and then bring the slice back up. Now, as you can see, the only piece that was disrupted was this one. So then you do your U2 interchange, and then you undo those moves. So bring the slice down, bring it back over, bring the slice back up. And you'd be off by U2, but that's okay, because that's supposed to happen. So there is a way to figure all this out. Rather, there is a way to know what setup moves to do. The helper piece can be moved one of four ways. You can move it down like this, or a small L prime. I mean, a small L. You could also do a small L prime, which will bring the helper right here. You can do a small F prime, which will bring the helper right here. A small F, I keep getting this mixed up. A small F will bring it right here. And a small F prime will bring it right here. Now notice what all four of those moves do. A small L will bring the helper in the lower left. A small L prime will bring the helper in the upper right. A small F will bring the helper to the upper left. And a small F prime will bring the helper to the lower right. You have a setup slice, if you will, to access different types of pieces. So if you have a lower left center that you want to solve, so one of these four, then you will want to do an L. Small L. I'm going to say L and F just for now. So you want to do an L. So L is for lower left pieces, F is for upper left pieces, L prime is for upper right pieces, and F prime is for lower right pieces. I will have that in a description, but that is a very good way to figure out what moves to do in order to move that piece into the helper, or any piece on these four faces, for that matter. Now sometimes, let's say you want to, hang on, I don't know what that was. Okay, here. Sometimes you'll want to shoot to where the slice is. So you think, okay, this is a lower left center. So I want to do an L. But the problem is it moved it away. So what you'll first want to do is move this piece out of the way, so that when you move it down, you can proceed to do a lower left setup move, as if that was there. U2, undo your moves, and then undo your moving out of the way. Similar to how in M2, when you want to do this, shoot to this piece, you move it out of the way first, and then you proceed as if you're doing this piece. For me, that's just a sexy move. Very cool. So yeah, that's basically how all the centers in the middle work. They're very intuitive, they're pretty easy. We will, however, use algorithms for up face and down face centers, but they're not that bad, and I will get to them momentarily. So now we're going to go on with the examples that we memorized in the previous part. I have the letters here. In your case, you would memorize letters. Whatever works for you. If you want to use pairs, that's great. If you want to cram as many letters into one made-up word as possible, like I do, then you can do that too, although it's not recommended because it's not a very safe method. But I'm leaving that up to you. So we have our letters here. So it's already memorized. We don't have to worry about, you know, fingers right now. That's not what this part's about. So first we're going to shoot to J. That's right here. That was actually our first thing I went over. So then we're going to move this slice down because this is a lower left center. We're going to do a small L, and then move that center over to that slice. Move the slice up. U2 interchange, undo. So now we have solved that piece. And the U face has interchanged, so that's going to happen, just like how in M2 you're going to have, you know, the whole M slice screwed up. You're not going to be able to see it anyway. We blindfolded. So then we have P. So P is right here. That is an upper left center. So we're going to want to do a small F. Then we're going to bring this all the way over here. So in this case, we're going to do a small U2. And then bring it up. U2 interchange. Undo your moves. That will solve that piece, and their interchange is back to normal. So essentially, we've solved two pieces already. Next, we have K. K is down here. It's a lower right center. So we're going to want to do an F prime, and then move that center all the way around to here, so that it comes up with a slice. E2 interchange, undo setup moves. Next, we have R. That is an upper left center, so we're going to want to do an L prime. So here's the slice, and we're going to move that piece over here, and then undo slice move. U2, undo setup moves. Now we have F, so we're going to want to move it here. This is a lower left center, although when you do your L move, it's going to move out of the way. So you need to get this piece out of the way so that you can move the slice down, and then move the piece over to the slice like you would as if it was a J. U2 interchange, undo setup moves, and undo your moving out of the way. Next we have U right down here. This is where we're getting to the D face, and we're going to need an algorithm. So if you want to solve the DBL piece, so if you need to shoot to DBL, here's the algorithm you do. Small L, B2, small D2, B2, small L prime, U2, small L, B2, small D2, B2, L prime. And that will solve the piece, and that will also do an interchange. So it's pretty easy to remember. The set of moves and undoing set of moves is the same, actually. You I will put that in the description, of course. So then we have A. So also in the top layer, we're going to need an algorithm. So, excuse me, if you want to shoot to UBL right here, or A in my case, then we will want to do the following moves. Small r prime, small u, small r, u. Small r prime, small u prime, small r, u. Small r, small u, I'm sorry, it's small r, it's small r prime, small u, small r, u2, small r prime, small u prime, small r, u2. That will shoot to that piece, and we'll also do an interchange. Now it looks like it's not solved, but that piece is now over here because it interchanged. So you did actually solve the piece. And then we have W down here. Now you might be thinking, okay, what's the algorithm for this? Well, it's the same as U. It's the same as DBL. All you need to do is you need to move. If you have any piece, any of these three, all you need to do is you need to move that piece into that position as a setup move. And then you do that algorithm like I just said. So it's right here. You want to move it into that position. And then you do L, small l, B2, small d2, B2, small l prime, U2. Small l, B2, small d2, B2, L prime. And then you undo your D move, whether it's a D, D prime, or D2. Depends on the piece. Then we have T. T is right here. T is a lower right center. Normally we do an F prime, but that will move it out of the way. So we need to move this out of the way, so that when you bring the slice down, you can move it in. Move it in the slice, bring the slice back up. U2, undo set of moves. Then we have A once again. It's not C, it's A. So right here, we're going to do the same algorithm. Small r prime, small u, small r, u. Small r prime, small u prime, small r, u. Small r prime, small u, small r, u2. Small r prime, small u prime, small r, u2. And next we have O, which is back here. It is a lower right center, so we're going to need to do a small f prime. Then we're going to move it into the slice and move it up. Do a U2, shut up bird, thank you. Do a U2, and then undo your setup moves. Okay. Then finally we have G. It is a lower right center, so we're also going to do a F prime here. Move the piece into the slice, move the slice back up. U2, undo setup moves. And that solves all the centers. So, now let's get to the second example. That's these letters right here. This was the first, this was the second. So, this time we're shooting to H right here. It is an upper left center. So, then we're going to normally do an F, but it moves it out of the way. So we're going to want to move the piece out of the way first, then bring the slice down, then move the piece over to the slice, and bring it back up. Do a U2, undo setup moves. Bear with me, this cube's not as great as the others. So next we have B. B is right here. The algorithm for this one is very easy. It's just U2. Just like how if you want to shoot the helper, it's M2, kind of like how I explained in the previous part. So, yes, UFL, just do a U2. Next is L, that's over here. It is an upper left center. So we're going to move down small f, then move the piece over here, and bring it up. U2, undo setup moves. Then we have R. That is right here. It is an upper right center. So then we're going to want to move, you're going to want to do small L prime, and then move the piece over like that, and then undo slice move. U2, undo setup move. That one you can kind of do from the back, like I just did. Then we have C. So U, F, R. I need to think about that stuff sometimes. UFR. So this is very similar to UBL, except it's a little bit different. So here's the algorithm for UFR. Small r prime, u prime, small u prime, small u. Small r prime, small u, small r, u prime. Small r prime, small u prime, small r, u prime. Small r prime, small u, small r, u2. Small r prime, small u prime, small r, u2. So it's the exact same as UBL, except instead of u's, they're going to be u primes in between the RURs at the beginning. They'll still be u2s at the end. Like I said, not bad algs. So then we have S. S is right here. It is a lower left center. So we're going to want to do a L, and then move the piece over to the slice, and move it up so it's in the helper's position. Do a U2 and undo your setup moves. Okay, now remember this is where we broke in the new cycle. So we decided to shoot to this one. Theoretically, you could shoot to any of the pieces. So then we do N, which is way back here. It's a lower left, so we're going to do an L. Then we're going to move this piece all the way over here by doing a small D2. Then move the slice back up. And do a U2. Undo setup moves. Next we have T. We already did T before. Like I said, it's a lower right center, and we can't just move the F prime down because it'll move out of the way. So we gotta move it out of the way first, and then bring down the slice, bring the piece into the slice, and then bring the slice back up. U2, undo setup moves. Next we have D, upper left center. We're gonna wanna do a small F. Bring the piece into the slice, bring the slice up. U2, undo. And finally we have N, just like how we did it before. Lower left center, small L. Bring the piece to the slice. Bring the slice back up. U2, undo moves. So that will solve the centers for that cube. Now there is one thing that I did not go over yet, and that is if you have an odd number of interchanges. You should know that's called parity. Now there is parity for M2 and old Pachman. For a 3x3, if you have parity for one, you have parity for the other. And if you don't have parity for one, you don't have parity for the other. I will say for a 4x4, centers, wings, and corners are completely independent on whether they might have parity or not. If the centers have parity, it's not that bad because you're going to end up like this, and all you have to do is a U2 at the end. So that's basically how execution works for the centers. It might seem like a lot of information. I don't know if it does, but just keep doing it. It's going to become very automatic. You're not going to be thinking, oh, I have to do L slice since it's in the bottom left. You have to do that at first, but eventually you'll just think, oh, J. Just quickly do it. So eventually you'll associate a lever with setup moves, just like you might be doing with a 3x3. Once you get comfortable with it, just try and solve the centers blindfolded. It's really good practice. It's really good for pumping you up to get you ready for the real thing, solving the whole thing blindfolded. I know it helped me a lot when I first started out. So that's about it. Next part, I'm going to be getting into the wings and how to memorize them.